Hey guys, it's Allison. So today's video is going to be a monthly wrap-up video. So it's going to be February, March, and April's wrap-up all in one because I did not do one for February or March. And this is April now. So we're going to combine them all, do a monthly wrap-up, and I'll tell you guys the books that I have read. I read 10 books in the 3 months. So 4 for February, 2 for March, and 4 for April. Currently, I am on the 5th book in April, but I won't be able to finish it until May. But we are going to get into that right after because I'm going to do a quick May TBR list as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Comment down below any videos you want me to see next. Subscribe down below if you're new to my channel. Turn on post notifications to get an update every time I post a new video. And let's get started. For February, I did an Instagram chooses my reads, and I ended up reading 4 books in that video. So those are the 4 books that I read in February. 2 were romance, and then 2 were like mystery thriller kind of reads. First book that I read was Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey, and this is my first ever Tessa Bailey book, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave this book a 5-star. I liked how it wasn't like beginning of a relationship. This was like a couple that was married and they were about to get a divorce, and they had to work on their relationship, and so they got a therapist. The concept of their therapist was pretty interesting. I liked how they showed the ups and downs to this relationship and how sexual attraction isn't enough to satisfy a relationship. You have to have that emotional connection with each other, not just physical attraction to each other. It was a really good book. I think this is part like of a little series, I believe. I think this is the second book to this series. I did not know that until like after I finished it, but I really enjoyed this book. So the next book that I read was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I'm glad that they chose this book because I have a whole stack of Colleen Hoover books that I have to read, and this was actually a 5-star read for me. I really love the cover as well. It's like shiny and colorful and oh nice. After I read this book, just ended that I wanted more. I just really enjoyed this book. It was crazy how the main character Kenna met like the main guy character in this book and how everything was related, and it was just a whole bunch of things which was so interesting, which just like the randomest like coincidence ever. And I liked the relationship she had with him and how she worked on herself to get back to her daughter. And it was a really quick read for me because of how Colleen Hoover writes. Then I read Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, which this was on my TBR list for the longest time. I feel like everybody hyped this book up and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to read this book. Then when I read it, it didn't give me the same hype like a 5-star read does. I ended up giving this book a 3.5 stars. I was between a 3 and a 3.5, and I was being nice and I gave it a 3.5. I felt like this book was repetitive. It was like only like kind of like 3 scenes in the book. Not 3 scenes, like I'm just being extra, but like it was just her in the house contemplating things, her with her sister at the sister's living situation, and then her with her friends. So it was like 3 things that kept going back and forth, and I feel like the only upside to this book was her sister. Honestly, if you read this book, you know what I mean. And how everything happened was kind of risky in this book. Pretty decent. It wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing. So the last book that I read in February was Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. The first Lisa Jewell book that I read was A Family Upstairs, and I gave that a 5 stars. So I expected the best from Lisa Jewell, but I gave this a 3-star read. I don't know. It was really slow. I think this was not even a span of like a year, honestly. It was probably like in a span of a month or like a couple weeks, if I remember correctly, because I obviously read it like 2 months ago. I'm not sure how to feel about this book. I'm going to give her another try, honestly, because everybody has read Then She Was Gone, and I feel like a lot of people have rated that book. I honestly skimmed over a lot of the parts in this book. Can't remember all the details of this book, so that means like it wasn't a big moment for me. You know what I mean? So for the month of March, I read 2 books, like I said in the beginning, and the first book that I read was The Last to Vanish by Megan Miranda, and I gave this a 4-star read. I don't know, the whole time throughout this book, I did not know what was gonna happen. The setting took place, was in the middle of the Appalachian Trail, and it was like a one-setting thing. I did not know what was gonna happen. Who was the killer? Who was the people taking all these people? Where did all the people go? That's the kind of book I want to read. and the ending was pretty shocking. Like by that almost the end, I felt like I knew who it was gonna be. Other than that, this was pretty good. It took me a while to read this. So the other book that I read in March was Our Secrets and Scars by Macy Myers, and honestly I picked up this book because of the cover, because it was purple. That's my favorite color. And then also I read the little synopsis, and it was basically like a prison pen pal. That's all like I remember, and I was like, oh yes, like this is a different kind of vibe of romance that I want to read to see how this plays out, because you know no other book really does that. So I was like, let me see how this goes. And I thought it was like an adult romance, I guess you can say, but it ended up being like teenagers into college. This was really interesting. I really loved it. I gave it a 5-star read. This book had me in all different types of emotions, a whole roller coaster of emotions, and I really recommend this book. It's so adorable. This was definitely a book that is like a soulmate meant to be kind of love story. Ending was pretty shocking, like all the twists and turns. I really enjoyed it. I could talk about this one all day, so yeah, pick this up. When I came home, I was not feeling like reading. I was like kind of in a reading club. I didn't know what else to read, and so when April came around, I didn't start reading till like maybe like a week or two ago when this comes out. Last week's video, I was trying to get out of a reading slump, and these are the 2 books that I read during that video. First book that I read in that video was If He Had Been With Me. This had been on my TBR list forever. Another one of the books by Laura Nowlin, and a lot of people were like, you're gonna cry in this book, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. I ended up giving this book a 4 stars, and I did read it in one day actually. Like I felt like it was so hyped that I had so much expectations for it, and then it was okay. Like this book had another whole roller coaster of emotions as well. You find out in the beginning what happens, but it's not really a surprising factor when it comes at the end. But like all the other stuff after that crazy stuff happens is shocking. I actually really enjoyed Autumn and Finn's relationship, and I also enjoyed Autumn and Jamie, which was her other boyfriend in high school. I liked their relationship in the beginning, but Jamie messed it up, and if you guys read this book, you know why. And I hate how he did that, and I expected that to happen honestly, because I was like, this is kind of fishy. And how he just like dumped her and did her dirty at the end. Jamie feel about that, but Autumn and Finn is just so cute. And why did that have to happen to Finn at the end of the book? I do not know why, but you will see my thoughts in that video if you guys want to go see and watch that video and see all my reactions. I also liked how this book went pretty quick. The chapters went like this, and also there was no extra information in the book that was not necessary to the plot of the story. Other book that I read was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter herself. And honestly, I say this in the video as well, I didn't want to get this book at first because I was like, oh, this might be cringy. But a lot of people were hyping this book up, so I was like, should I actually read it? And I thought like I wouldn't get the movie references or anything like that. I mean, I didn't get the movie references. This book was a 5-star read. I really enjoyed the book. This was such an adorable book. I would read this again and again. I don't know. This relationship she had, Liz with Wes, oh my goodness, cutest. I have no words because I had all my words in that video. I liked how there was tension in the book that was resolved, because some books don't do that. Little cute things that Wes would do for Liz was so adorable. Even though they weren't dating, they were like, he was helping her trying to get her man's Michael, but you know, Wes was doing anything for Liz, but she didn't realize that Wes liked her the whole entire time, which was, she had to think. After reading this book, I was like, yes, I need to get another Lynn Painter book. And the last 2 books, which was part of like a series or a duology kind of thing, was The Housemaid and The Housemaid Secrets, book 1 and book 2. Let me tell you, if you want a good mystery or a thriller, these books are it. I have been putting off reading this for such the longest time. My cousin actually recommended this book to me back in like November when I saw her during Thanksgiving. After I read this, I was like, I texted her, I was like, you gotta read this. You have to read this. So hopefully she reads it. Hopefully she has the same thoughts as me. This is by Frida McFadden, psychological thriller. This one says, from behind closed doors, she sees everything. And this one says, this perfect home has one rule: don't look behind closed doors. I didn't even tell you guys my rating to these books. I gave both books a 5-star. Both books had different plots, which was good because usually some books have the same plots and it just gets boring, but these two actually had different plots. So these two books gave me like Verity vibes in a way from Colleen Hoover. You will understand if you read these books, but the first one, it kept me reading, it kept me hooked, it was very suspenseful. And then this one, she definitely switched it up with this one, and I was pretty shocked at the ending. Like, I did not expect any of these things to happen. So I would definitely recommend these two books. So many thoughts to this book, and I really want to tell you guys like the craziness to this, but if you guys haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it. Lastly, we are going to get into my May TBR list that I want to get through for the month of May. Currently, I am reading Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. And this book is thick. So I don't know. I don't think I'm up to page 100 yet. I'm reading it on my Kindle currently. Like the really tiny kind of covers. Ooh. What? They have pictures in here? Ooh. I did not know that. So this is the book that I am currently on. I'm not going to finish it in April, obviously. So this is going to be on my May TBR, going to finish this book. So far, I really enjoyed this book. It's just that, like, I don't know why it's taking me a while. It's just, like, really long. I think I'm just dreading that this book is, like, 500 pages long. Next books that I want to read is part of a series, and is the Chestnut Springs series. So it's Flawless, Heartless, and Powerless. And I think they're coming out with a 4th book. I need to read these. I need to get on this trend. I need to get on the cowboy vibes. Heard from Alexa Ray and Rachel Catherine that these books were some good books, so I trust in them. This is by Elsie Silver, by the way, if you haven't heard about this series. I can't wait actually to read, I think it's Heartless, which is the single dad trope. The other book that I'm hoping to read is Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. I think this is a YA book, and I just thought like this kind of vibe was interesting. It says 2 princesses, 1 throne, what could go wrong? I think there's a second book to this. I want to read also The Stone Maidens by Lloyd Devereaux Richards. This book actually, when I was sitting in the nail salon one day, was up on television, and the girl was talking about how dad wasn't getting much traction on this book, and then she posted it on TikTok because, you know, booktok and everything, and then a lot of people started buying it and stuff like that. So I really don't know what to expect from this author, obviously, and like what to expect from this book. I just saw it on TV and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it, because this was like a mystery thriller kind of read. So I was like, yes, I'm going to pick it up. So the last book that I want to read in May, hopefully this book has been staring at me for the longest time, and this is a series. I only had the first book to it though. So this is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. So this is fantasy, I believe. Maybe I should read this to get me into fantasy. This is Power is a Dangerous Game. So why do I have the sticker still? I don't know. Don't ask me. I'll probably take it off when I do read it. But those are my really long May TBR list, because a lot of the books are thick. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I hope I can, because I am soon going to get more books. Yeah, that was everything for this video. If you guys stuck around to the end, comment down below your current read and what you're gonna read in May. Oh my gosh, it's May. I can't believe it's May. Wow, I just realized that real quick, even though I said May before. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.